ahead when you're ready.
I'm Karen Costello-Wilder and the board chair of AQUA. This is important news about lesbian and queer women. We are the AQUA Foundation for Women, the only nonprofit 501c3 in Florida by and for LGBTQ women. Since 2004, we have been the voice dedicated to serving and supporting LGBTQ plus women. Our partnership is part of Hotspots Happening Out Television Network's 10 pillars of the LGBTQ plus community. Lesbians and queer women are one of those 10 pillars, and we hope you will support AQUA Foundation's vital mission by sharing, volunteering, and donating. White House celebrates the L Word, cast creator with lesbian press secretary.
So this week is Lesbian Visibility Week, and as the first openly queer person to hold the position of press secretary for the President of the United States, I see every day how important visibility and representation are. Today, I'm honored to welcome the cast of the L Word and Generation Q, two Showtime series that chronicle the friendship, the love, the challenges, and the triumphs of strong, funny, and resilient queer women. Up here with me are the amazing, talented actresses who play those very roles. Jennifer Beals, Lisha Haley, and Catherine Minnick, and the show's co-creator, writer, and executive producer, Eileen Jacob.
For many lesbians across this country, the L Word is a holy text. And I mean holy. The White House honored that text by inviting 3 of the show's stars, Lisha Haley, Catherine Minnick, and Jennifer Beals, and the show's original creator, Eileen Jacob, to a press briefing for Lesbian Visibility. Karine Jean-Pierre, the first out queer person to be press secretary, introduced the stars and creator, saying that growing up as a queer woman of color, she knows what it is like to feel invisible. Talking about the show and the importance of the diversity, she said, quote, "It is important that young people see characters on television and in books who they can relate to and whose life stories and identities inspire them to reach their highest potential." Eileen Jacob took to the podium to share her thoughts, saying, quote, "We are painfully aware that our struggles are far from over. We face new threats against our community, from online harassment to legislative acts of violence to actual physical violence," unquote. She also praised Biden for strengthening non-discrimination protections for our communities, signing the Respect for Marriage Act into law, and supporting LGBTQI kids and their parents. Haley, who is a lesbian in real life and plays the bisexual Alice on the L Word, had a message for queer people who could be listening. To all the community members and allies who are bravely leading their lives and motivating others, she said, "We see you." First, I have to admit, growing up as an Irish white person with blue eyes, when I would start to hear I never saw myself in magazines and stuff like that. And I didn't get it. I get it now, which I'm grateful for, and I totally understand. And I think it's so important to let people know that you see them and that you hear them. I'm a big believer, and I have been for probably 40 years, that being heard is more important than being loved, because love can be wonky, So, Taya, what do you think?
I think it is really cool that a queer TV show is at the White House, especially centered on women, because there's so many queer shows that are more centered towards gay men. So it's really interesting, and I think we've come a really long way in queer media. One of my favorite shows, Pose, has a lot of trans women and trans women of color, and I think that's amazing to see in a lot of different perspectives and new media, even compared to when I was a kid, even though it wasn't as long ago as some other people. But, or even, it wasn't meant to be shady, but I'm only 23, so I noticed that might not be a big amount of progress in my life, but for other people, they've seen a lot more, but I've still seen a lot even when I was a teenager.
Yeah, and speaking of progress, I just want to acknowledge, imagine just a couple years ago, could we even imagine a queer anything coming to the White House?
Absolutely.
So, I definitely will say that there are some areas Biden hasn't lived up to certain promises, but I definitely, it's an improvement and huge. You can't, it's not comparable. The two are not equal in my humble opinion.
I mean, okay, I'm gonna stop aging myself right now. But I've had I've watched both seasons. I've watched the real. I'm friends. All right, we're not even gonna name drop either. Okay, let's just go back to the L Word. Is one of those shows that's iconic for our community. It took all the things that we do behind closed doors, the conversations, we were like packaged as the U-Haul relationship, you went out on a date and next thing you were like going and renting a U-Haul and moving in together. This show broke that.
Shane.
Thank you. Yeah, and it broke that mold, and it allowed us to step out of whatever anyone thought was a typical lesbian. We all played softball, and we did the U-Haul, every stereotype you can think of. But this broke the stereotypes, and then to be able to see how that show impacted so many generations of women now moving forward, right? The millennial generation, the Gen Zers, the Gen X, me even too, okay? So I just think that it's like such an amazing moment for lesbians to be standing during a press secretary, a press meeting and really addressing the American people right now when they're trying to silence our voices.
Absolutely.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.